Hi, Andrea. It's Margie from Basmati.
Hey, Margie. How are you doing today?
I am amazing, thank you. I'm really great. How are you?
Having another terrific day, thank you.
Yay. So again, we're talking with Andrea with AwakenAstrology.com, and this time we're going to go into the full moon, and I'm really excited about that. This is the first one that we've done of these, so that's going to be super fun. And let's do it.
Okay. All right. So this is a Capricorn full moon, and it happens on Saturday, July 8th. And Margie, I'm going to call this the explosive full moon. Okay, so first let's get into what is a full moon. A full moon always spells out oppositional tensions and heightened activity. And that's why the full moon is notorious for people acting a little crazy. But I have to say this month, that tension is going to be particularly high. This month, the areas of your life that those opposing forces will be most likely to play out in are going to take place between home and work, your inner emotions and your outer ego and persona, and your unconscious needs versus your conscious desires. So these conflicting energies will be so intense that they have the potential to create situations that act like dynamite. And if you're not able to look at the situation objectively and keep things getting out of control, you're going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. Okay. So what we're going to do with this, we're going to wrap up with basically how to look at this objectively. That's what this whole reading is about. And then some positive ways we can direct our energy so that we can be focused on creating what we want and not what we don't want.
Okay, perfect.
So what is happening here astrologically is a primary aspect that's occurring between the Sun with Mars in Cancer opposing the Moon with Pluto in Capricorn, and we'll break this down. So again, a full moon highlights tension between opposing forces, and this one's about power play, emotion, and fiery energy. If we look at the Sun and Mars working together, what we get is lots of urgent energy needing to express itself. So this is fire in the water sign of Cancer. And the mantra that I explained in the last reading, the mantra for Cancer is I feel. And Cancer being about feeling and emotion, but it's also, it comes with a sense of urgency due to the fact that it is also a cardinal sign. So it's like urgent feeling, like you've got to, it's instinctual and makes you feel like you've got to take action right away. Intense feeling that makes you want to take action right away.
Okay.
And so it's not hard to imagine or understand that we can end up hurting ourselves and others if we don't use fire energy, emotional fire energy with consciousness. And it involves, well, looking at this objectively, aligning to what's highest and best, and realizing that by doing that, we'll be avoiding some potential mistakes and serious consequences that we could regret in the future. So opposing the Sun with Mars in Cancer, we have the other side of the chart, which is Moon and Pluto working together in Capricorn. And Moon, as the ruler of Cancer, is the sign of the mantra I feel, as we talked about, and she's going to add heightened sensitivity. She's all about our innermost needs and feelings. She brings in all our memories and our primal connections to mother and home and things that have happened in the past. So things that have happened in the past have to do with patterns and programmings that are deeply embedded within us. And Pluto the ruler of fixed water, so more water, is the rule, so Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto brings in all that heavy emotional stuff that lurks in the deep water of our psyches, all that unconscious stuff that gets triggered that most of us haven't had a chance to investigate and bring up to the surface to integrate, those shadow aspects of ourselves. So Pluto is the planet or rules over power and destruction through crisis, jealousy, sex, stubbornness, addiction, and domination. So this is some heavy, heavy stuff going on here. Lots of water. I can't believe it, because where we had double doses of fire energy on one side of the chart, on the other side, now on this side we have double doses of water and emotion. And all this emotion is in the earth sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the goat that wants to climb to the top. So although it's an earth sign, it's goal-oriented and wants to get things done and wants to create a structure. So Moon, which is in Capricorn, would rather exert her influence in Cancer on the opposing side. Mars, on that side, will try to exert his influence in Capricorn, because he exalts there as the energy needed to get things done. So we've got this flip-flop. Here's this ironic twist that we have, push-pulling of Mars and Moon exerting their influence over the opposite side of the chart. And that's why I call this dynamic. This is actually dynamite that's waiting to blow. On a personal level, this could mean serious relationship problems. It could play out like you're feeling drained and powerless, and then suddenly exploding onto your partner, wreaking havoc and disharmony.
So what a great I view this also, if you don't mind, as a cool opportunity for all of those little dualistic things that go on internally with us, right? To be able to learn how to express them in a better way. So the example you just gave made me think of, our boundaries, right? And being able to express them in a healthy way that's safe and comfortable for us, but also keeping our space congruent with what we need with our higher self, right? Or our true self.
Exactly. Because the way I see it with Mars and the Sun, that's so much about self-esteem or ego. And then, adding the water element to it, you're getting old wounds.
Yeah, and emotion. A lot of emotion stirred up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so a really cool opportunity to practice boundaries, right? And discerning what's ours and when those things come up, and being able to express that in whether it's a interpersonal relationship or an experience at work in a way that benefits all, right? But just be aware that these things may be heightened a tad bit, on starting a few days before July 8th and a couple days after, right? So,
yeah. I wrote down two expressions. I wrote down needing to win and sexual conquest, and all I could think of was this series that my son watches called Game of Thrones. So I thought, oh my gosh, even on a global scale, what we're talking about is some Game of Thrones style tactics. The big players will be working their big power plays like overthrows, military invasion, and even warfare. There could be some potential domestic violence and social disorder, but there's not much you and I can do about what's happening on the global scale. But when we master these energies on a personal level, we can affect the energetic field each in our own way, in a positive way.
Absolutely, and for those around us, So that's where the pride, the ego, the dominance and control should be really, kept in check, even on small scales with that, right? When you said the need to win, you know, it's that need to be right and be validated every second in a way that is not natural, right?
Yeah, right.
You know,
It's pushed to the extreme. Most of us don't work, you know, we don't experience too much of those energies very frequently, right? So we don't have a lot of practice with those kind of extreme energies.
Yeah.
So just sort of readying ourselves for it and preparing and thinking about it, you know, let's talk about some possible solutions on how we can release some of these explosive energies of fire and emotion, you know, emotional triggers.
Okay.
So again, it's on a Saturday. The full moon event is on a Saturday. So it's great to sort of work a weekend project around that, or a focus around that, even though we could be, you know, triggered a few days before that if you're particularly sensitive in your chart, if you're particularly sensitive to that. But anyway, I was thinking things like that physical exertion would be a great way to be an outlet, a positive outlet. So like focusing on a challenging sport or athletic objective would be great.
Hiking. Yes, hiking, something.
A steep trail, though. Hiking a steep trail.
Yeah, something that will physically exert you. I also, what popped in when you were talking about that was physical expression. So building something, and it came to mind like, you know, like
building a
fence, using a post hole digger. I know I helped my brother, and this was really cool. He's building a cabin, and there were tons of rocks on his property, and so I loaded them up, and we were building a structure for this man-made fence, all made out of the natural material on his property. And so that pops in. Maybe getting ready to put in some big rose bushes or something like that, you know. Also popped in is something like Tai Chi, and then I envisioned going camping and actually putting up your tent and physically doing all the things yourself, physically hiking there, staying out in nature, and physically allowing yourself not only to be close to nature, but physically. There's a place I go where it's a lot of work when you go camping, you know, if you're staying in a tent and you're taking your wood and building your fire, and you're going camping and you're, you know, cooking your food and washing everything by hand, something like that, but also physically doing something while you're there feels really.
I agree, that's great. But for those people that can't get away, Margie, I'm going to say, get your trainer to work you extra hard in the gym.
That works too. That definitely works too. That works. Or even maybe pick up there's some great Kundalini practices on yoga, and you can find some of them online where they're real breathing techniques, and they don't seem super simple because you might only be doing 5 different postures, but the breathing, it is actually very intense. And that works you in a very different way, right? So definitely some sort of physical expression feels really right.
It does. And I was thinking, too, about maybe a project that people have wanted to get done, whether, you know, it's finishing their garage or, you know what I mean? Again, it's working, but it actually will make you feel terrific at the end because you will have exerted that energy to accomplish what you've been wanting to get done.
Yes, the building a structure or like doing your garage, it feels really, really, really well. Like it would fit in well with this. I do want to say we can, if for those of listening who are learning on working on boundaries, I know that it can take practice sometimes when we're trying to express that in a way that doesn't come out of anger or force. I've used this before where I'm like, hey, I'm working on this, and just by setting that up first, it gives the person, they automatically don't go into defense. So, hey, I'm working on this and I'm feeling like this is happening to me right now and I need to put up some boundaries. Gives the person, right? So I wanted to add that in because when I say boundaries, sometimes that can feel like, you know, we're putting up walls, and it's actually the opposite. You know, it's creating space for ourselves and the other person. And sometimes and sometimes that's the way I wasn't that great at that in the past. So taking practice and giving ourselves, it's okay to practice, right? We're here learning.
Right. So
yeah.
we could, if there was a workshop around with an emotion group on emotional healing, like that would be a safe place to also express, you know, giving, like you said, we're talking about safe places to be yourself. So, you know, with a group of people that specifically have this objective, that would be great. Practicing meditation is always wonderful. Journaling is always wonderful. But in this case, I will say finish up journaling with what you're grateful for and what you think is beautiful. There is a sextile going on right now where that would be a terrific thing to finish up with. Okay. I also put in, can't forget this, have great sex. Because if you have a loving partner to be with, and bonding that way and really exerting energy with that, that's perfect. Not using it so much as a control or power play manipulative tool, but as practicing a way of really moving closer to each other in a physical way would also be really awesome. Okay. And I just want to remind people, I'm not sure, you know, how many people know whether they have cardinal signs somewhere between 16 and 19 degrees in their chart will be particularly triggered. I can work with those people and help them specifically with, you know, what they may need to focus on. So that's a particular watch for this full moon.
Okay, perfect. Oh, Andrea, thank you. As always, it's amazing and beautiful to talk with you, and I look forward to doing that again.
Yes, thank you, Margie.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you have a beautiful day, and looks like I'll be building a fence.
Yeah, me too. Going on a steep hike.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Margie. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.